All right, it is Monday, and I am here behind the table with the polka-dotted Alyssa Farah Griffin.
Hello, happy Monday.
So there's been a lot of discussion about your dress. We were just discussing, and you look beautiful, I want to
Thank
say.
you.
This is not a critique of any kind, because I have no fashion knowledge or experience whatsoever. You said Whoopi had some comments.
Whoopi said it reminded her of a dress that Betty Davis wore when she saw her once at some fancy hotel in LA. And I was like, okay, I'll Betty Davis it.
All right, for me, it is screaming Amy Grant from the video, which is iconic, of her with like wearing a polka dot dress with a Dalmatian.
Oh, I know, all I need is a Dalmatian.
This is good. So people here are making fun of me because nobody knows the reference, but I'd like to throw a split screen up if we can.
I knew the reference. I'm glad Joy wasn't here today, though, because I feel like she would have a not nice take on it, though.
Well,
I love the dress.
That's kind of the thing about Joy, but it's okay. It's all right.
She'll be honest to your face.
She will, and sometimes you go home and cry, but it's fine. We talked today about President Biden's cancer diagnosis this morning, which was shocking, and everyone's, I think, heart went out to him. He was just here a week ago, and, you know, whatever your political leanings, he's just a very decent, humble, genuine person when you meet him and someone who I think everyone respects. What were your feelings about hearing about this? And then how does it affect this ongoing conversation that people are having? Because, you know, the big conversation, we had it on Friday, we're having it, these books are coming out talking about the general idea of a cover-up of President Biden's health. Now, does this revelation, does this push it all away? Do people say like, oh, we're not talking about that? Or does it actually feed into the idea that people weren't being honest about the president's health? It's very tricky.
It's very tricky. And I felt like just initial reactions as like America processes the news, because we all feel a connection to him as a former American president. The place to be was just honestly to offer like our heartfelt well wishes to him and his family. I've really resonated with what Sarah said about, I remember thinking like when we said goodbye to him when he left, I'm like, I hope he goes and enjoys the years he has left. Like, you really just want that for people who gave 40 plus years in government service. I think the discussion around his health, wellness, and ability to do the job for 4 more years should continue, but it requires some nuance. It requires some empathy. And I hope that it kind of takes like the super partisan nature of it down, because it's a fact that the majority of Americans, 67% in 2023, said they had concerns about his ability to do the job for 4 more years. Now, I would venture that of those, a lot of those are people who love Joe Biden, who wanted to support Joe Biden again. They were simply worried about the biology and science of aging. And I think that there's a conversation to be had there, because if he were president right now, which half this country would love if he was president right now, you'd have a president who's going through may have to be going through some very hard health treatments, that could be debilitating, frankly.
Which has happened in American history.
And it's happened.
We
know Reagan had in his second term some major ways in which he was slowing down. We've had presidents go through things. FDR. I think it's a worthy conversation about, was there anything that was shielded from the public? I don't need to rehash every meeting that took place 3 years ago, or who did he slip up and forget. But I think more of a conversation about the public seemed to raise their concerns and see it before politicians were willing to acknowledge it. And even some in the media were willing to, they were a little behind on the story. That's kind of where I see the conversation. And then just candidly I just can't believe it wasn't caught sooner, because I feel like as a president and former president, you should just have the best healthcare, and you should be doing everything preventative to ensure that you're up to do the job going forward. And I think it's a shame that they didn't decide to take the step of giving him this exam sooner, because it could have made his prognosis much better.
Now, I mean, you were in the White House with the president and part of the communications team, and there's always scrutiny on these physicals. There certainly was with President Trump, and some of the glowing results that came out were definitely under fire, and people reacted to them dubiously. I mean,
I miss the days where things were just normal in politics. So I'll juxtapose Mike Pence to Donald Trump. Mike Pence is an old school by the book politician. So when he went in for any basic routine thing, they all go to Walter Reed, just 25-minute drive from the White House. Sometimes they helicopter, sometimes they go in a motorcade. He would disclose it, whether it was getting a prostate exam, whether it was a simple checkup, or he had some chest pains at one point. We would put out a full statement with the doctor's results and just release it. That's kind of how it largely traditionally been done with some of the caveats of that we mentioned. Trump took it a totally different direction. I mean, by like hiring a doctor who was like a fanboy of his, on the outside, and then having Ronnie Jackson, who did serve under Obama as a White House doctor, but clearly is a diehard Trump supporter. I think that politicized things, but Trump did get this exam at 78.
He did.
On the campaign trail. It would have been end of 2024, and they put out the statement that he did. So I think is something that people might look into.
There are
a
questions,
little bit further.
I mean, I think the takeaway today for me, and I think for you too, is just God bless him. Hope he's okay.
Yeah,
and
he's given so much. I think people just want to see him at peace and enjoying his life and spending time with his family. And
I've had cancer hit my family, and I spoke to him one of the times he was here about it on a commercial break because he made the cancer moonshot a big part of his political legacy and career, and he was so comforting and optimistic about where we're going to end up and how we're going to be able to fight cancer. And I believe that
he has more empathy than most any politicians I've ever met. I know Whoopi has a personal story too related to health, and just when he learns of somebody who's struggling, he like immediately connects with them, especially around this, and obviously because he lost his son, Bo. So it's just very sad.
All right, well let's move on to something fun, or kind of fun, because we were done.
But I should know, as you said, a big part of his legacy will be the cancer moonshot, and I hope that if there's any federal grants that are being cut, that then outside charities like the Gates Foundation step in and try to help supplement that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if there's any justice in the world, hopefully some of the work he did there will benefit him now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, let's talk about something a little bit more fun, although we were done dirty by Sunny. Let's discuss this. We talked today about the unwritten rules of being a wedding guest. And we were at the wedding this weekend of our social media associate producer, Nikki Kane. And now Nikki Rainey, and she had a wonderful, beautiful wedding.
It was so much fun.
So much fun. You and I, through various reasons, ended up going stag individually, so it was nice to have company there. But we had a fun table of all View folks, and Sunny was there. Sarah and Max were there. Sunny and Manny were there. Yeah. And then we got a little bit of, well, let's talk about it.
Well, such a fun wedding, and the best compliment I felt like as a bride you could get is that your wedding was so much fun. Like, it felt like a party from start to finish. Like, just
no stress,
beautiful, beautiful venue. And by the way, my parents are from like a town over from where it was. So driving over, I was like, oh, we're like by my grandma's house. Like, she's passed many years ago, but it was a fun trip down memory lane getting there. But it was so much fun, and I do love when the View hosts and View team are forced to socialize outside of work. We need it. Like, I feel like once a quarter, it like helps
team
us.
Building for sure.
Yeah, team building. It reminds us we all love each other deep down.
No, it was fun. I mean, Sunny's a fun party guest always. She was a good time.
She was a very good time.
I'm not going to lie. So she called us out, implying that we were not at the ceremony and we were only at the reception. This is true. It was not by intent, but we had some stumbling blocks, and this happens. There was a space in the
that's very common, because I had a Catholic wedding too, where you'll have like the church service and then there's a couple hours in between. You had a more legitimate reason, but mine was, so Justin was away on a golf trip. He gets his one golf trip a year. I took, he takes more than that. That's not even at all true.
Sure.
But I already had my girls trip, and I got coverage for my dogs, Desi and Herbie, for like a few hours of the wedding, but I realized my walker was not available for like the earlier portion of it. I tried to get my brother-in-law to do it, and he's like, I mean, I guess I could bring the baby and like Ella, but I was like, I'm not going to make him bring his. So long story short, the dogs were really my reason.
And as we discussed on Friday, dogs are children.
Well, and they are, because they will have an accident. They need food, they need water, they need love.
Yes. And I'm sure Nikki would understand that.
Yes. As a fellow dog mom.
Yeah. I had a family medical thing, and I was delayed also. And that's why my wife couldn't be there too. She was helping out.
But honestly, so I think it was the first wedding I went to solo without Justin, and I had a blast.
Me too. I was a little I definitely wasn't going to go dance by myself alone or walk around. So I was kind of on the fringes, but luckily the other husbands were with me, and I could, chat with Max and sip a drink and have a good time. But it was a show. I mean, this wedding had a lot,
big production
surprises. There was a marching band at one point. There was at the end, this was amazing. McDonald's was provided.
That's such a smart move. I left
genius.
before the McDonald's, but that's like that gets everyone back to neutral.
Yeah, it was a scene.
They did an excellent job, and her parents and in-laws were wonderful hosts. Well, we can include it after the fact, but I was going to add in the wedding etiquette segment. Don't dance like Sarah Haynes.
Wow, all right.
She's actually a great dancer. She's got like a lot of rhythm for a white girl from Iowa. Mm-hmm. But we had this specific clip where she was just big energy, spelling things wrong, and it's hilarious.
Spelling things wrong. What's the song for this?
Party in the USA, and she's like she's trying to make a P. Like I was do less with the hands.
Sarah. All right. Well, at least we have something to talk to Sarah about this week. Yeah. No, that's something. I mean, it was. I don't know. I had a lot of fun. It made me feel a little old at the wedding. I'm not going to lie because they were all young and vibrant and dancing, and I'm just sitting here sipping my drink on the sidelines. But I had a great time, so that was good. All right, I'm going to go on to another kind of related hot topic here. In a recent article on Medium titled "Never Ask Your Married Friends for Dating Advice," the author said, "We married people know nothing. Just because we manage to convince another human to say 'I do' does not mean we have any romantic superpowers." Do you agree with that?
I love how snarky it is. I half agree and I half disagree because so much of it, I tend to think that timing is everything.
Yes.
I say this all the time. Justin is my soulmate. I love him so much. But had we even gotten together a year sooner, I think I would have been too immature, too jealous, too something that he would have gotten the crazy 25-year-old Alyssa as opposed to a more evolved and refined Alyssa.
Sure.
So the timing worked out really well. And that's something you can tell people, but it's pretty much up to fate. But I definitely have single girlfriends that the main advice I give them is if you're single and want a partner, you need to treat it like a job and go out and look for one. Go to events, go to mixers, go, take a pickleball or something. Because I have a lot of girlfriends that I feel like they think someone's going to break into their house and propose. You have to go out. So I do give out advice.
I have a good friend who is single now. She was married, is divorced, has 2 kids. She's beautiful and is on the apps and kind of, I don't know if she's struggling, but hasn't made the connection yet. But she will send me these matches she has, and they're horrific. I mean, it's I don't understand. Apparently, I think it's easier to be a single guy of a certain age than a single woman.
Oh, yeah. Well, Scott Galloway has this whole thing about how the algorithms of these dating apps are totally skewed against women. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. They're skewed to the top 1%. So the best looking and most desirable profiles are shown the most.
Yeah.
So they get the most matches. But average looking guys get pushed down and average looking girls do. It's it's the Wild West out there. It's very sad.
I feel like there's a power shift at a certain age, though, it seems because in 20s and 30s, it feels like women have all the advantage completely. But I think once you get 40s, 50s, suddenly, if you're
I think late 30s men start to, it's some of it is earning status.
Yeah.
But the benefit totally shifts to men. Also, you guys can date way younger. It's judged when women date substantially younger. Although I couldn't date younger. I don't want to take care of a 20-something. That would be weird.
No, I think that'd be odd. Yeah. Interesting for the hot topics. I wouldn't be against it as your boss. I think it'd be fine if you did that. But yeah.
Remember that Harry Styles movie with Anne Hathaway?
Yes.
Or not Harry Styles.
It wasn't really Harry Styles.
But it's based on Harry
The
Styles.
guy was
who's the guy, and it's adorable. I just couldn't take it seriously. I'm even how attractive he was, I don't want to hang out with a 29-year-old man.
No.
Outside of a friendship.
Right. No, I understand it. I again, and Sarah and I have talked about this. As you get older, you start to think you're not old. And that's the thing. So when I'm hanging out with people in their 30s, early 30s, late 20s, I think we're all peers.
I totally do too.
And of course, I'm not. I'm almost 50 years old, and they must be very well aware of that. And I'm the one who's in denial, and that's rough.
I'm definitely hitting that. Or where I'll be as a young professional, I was I'm not really a young professional. I'm just a straight up adult now. I also always think that Sarah Haynes and I are 2 years apart. So I'll be when we were in high school, and we were in high school totally different times.
No, for me, it's when I'm talking to some of the young people on staff, and I realize halfway through the conversation that they're closer to my daughter's age than mine, my 13-year-old daughter's age than me. Yeah. That's rough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on. There was another headline. My socially challenged husband just exploded my family with his latest awful joke. Hopefully this isn't about me. After just attending a wedding, do you feel that either of you or Justin are socially awkward?
I'm the problem. It's me. I'm deeply socially awkward. By the way, in this story, the guy insults a baby. You cannot insult someone's newborn baby. like even I have the social awareness to not do that. So I've told you this, I've talked about on the show. I'm more introverted than I am extroverted. I can, in the right context, like a talk show or a television interview, I can give a speech.
You can turn it on.
But small talk with, especially with people I don't know well, makes me so uncomfortable. That's why at like Disney upfronts, I kind of like shadow you or Sarah the whole time. I like need someone to be my like person.
This is the party we went to last week for
yeah,
the
like
Disney
the big
thing.
fancy Disney party. So I can relate to that because then with being awkward and feeling awkward, you're bound to say something stupid. And so I feel like my husband at parties is always like keeping an eye to make sure I seem comfortable because I'm just bound to embarrass us if I don't.
So like Sarah was at that party with us too, and she is endearingly awkward, I think is what it is. Like she's out there with everybody. She'll talk to anybody. She's hugging people that aren't sure whether they've met her before or
and
not.
holds on too long.
Yeah, hold on too long. Like she's just there, and she's goofy, but it works for her.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere in between. I can fake it and turn it on for a couple of minutes and be there, but I also get bored quickly and then stop trying. That's my problem.
And I'm like a tier down from that of like, I'm really trying to not be awkward. The harder I try, the more awkward I get. And then I like run out of things to say. So then I just say something weird.
Well, now that you're like a suburban woman, like you've now like you're living in real suburbs. How's that going? Because you're like mingling with other couples. How's that whole thing? It's
so going surprisingly well. People are very nice to me. I did the most suburban thing. I bought a weighted vest for when I go on walks around my neighborhood. Like I'm a proper suburban wife now.
You're like borderline trad wife now.
Yeah, right. I know. I cook and I have a weighted vest. I'm doing okay. The one thing that's I think always interesting to navigate is like my job is so different than anyone else's. So you're talking to like girls who are in marketing or they're in like finance or something. And I'm like, today we interviewed Hugh Jackman and then we had Stitch ride on in a car. Like it's just like you like there's something between like, you don't want to sound like you're bragging about how cool it is, but then also sometimes it feels so silly compared to other things.
Right.
But then I felt after we had the Biden interviews, several of the women in my neighborhood I've become friendly with were like so complimentary and reached out to like say that we did such a nice job with it. And I was like, oh, so they do like me and are paying attention and some of what we do is serious.
There you go. Now, do you feel like do people want to talk politics with you in these situations or not? Is that tricky or is it?
I do find that people always like they kind of want to start with politics and I'm pretty good at navigating it. I think it helps that I'm pretty like center right. Like I'm not, so I don't think I say this, I probably am deeply polarizing to people, but I think to normal people, I'm not.
Well, to the viewers, yes. But
I'm only to our viewers. But I've never found whether it's somebody who's on the left or the right in like real life that they find me to be polarizing or hard to talk to.
No.
Because I can usually see a little bit of their viewpoint and like on either side.
For me, I just segue to sports as every opportunity
smart.
I get. It's one of the benefits of being a male sports fan. I can just start talking about, the Knicks. And,
right. I don't know anything about sports.
No, it's worth
but
picking up.
I would like to take it up as a hobby.
I think you should. Yeah. I think you should. All right. Another one here. We got Keke Palmer. Now, she recently talked about how living below her means is incredibly important to her. I respect this very much.
I do too.
She said, quote, if I have $1 million in my pocket, does she have $1 million in her pocket? Nice way to go.
Don't keep it in your pocket.
My rent is going to be $1,500. Do you agree with her on this? I think it's a challenge to live below your means.
I totally agree with it in theory. Rent isn't $1,500 anywhere, but I see the spirit of what she's saying. It is a real challenge. I think that keeping up with the Joneses in life is very real. Wanting to have as nice of things as the people around you, wanting to be dressed as nice, to present as like on par with people around you, and especially in a major city, but I think everyone deals with this to some degree. I think it's very natural, but most Americans are leveraged. They are living to some degree on credit, underwater. And like, okay, in a very real sense, for a lot of people, that's just not even practical. Like they're just having to get by to like provide what they need to for their family. But I think when you're younger, if you can teach yourself to live below your means, it's the best gift you can give yourself.
I agree.
You could be saving and like.
The hardest thing I think is when you have a family.
And you want to give them everything.
You want to give them everything. It's very hard. And, not to spoil them or anything else, but at the same time, like if they want to, take 1,200 dance lessons, dance classes.
You and I were just talking about this.
Yeah, okay, well, you know.
Justin and I recently had like we're very open with finances. I think it's super important in a marriage, but a very like important conversation because we want to start a family very soon of like, we're living very much on our budget and as we should be, but we're like, let's tighten the belt for the next year because once kids come, the budget just explodes. Like really how our costs are going to go up so much. And like, the life is unpredictable. I don't know that I'll always earn at this level. I don't know that he always will. So it's like as much as you can be saving and like just living as comfortable as you can without like being above your means.
Now, here's the devil's advocate version of that, because I've had this conversation with my wife a lot, who likes to travel, and I do too. And she has said that she feels like there's people she knows, members of her family, others who didn't get the chance to do the things when they were young because they were looking to the future. They do it later, and then you never know what the future will bring. You don't know about health. You don't know about other opportunities. So
I would agree with Heather. I think that travel is a distinction. I think it's a gift that you can give yourself and your family if you're in a position to. And you can, by the way, there's a right way to do it on a budget if it's something that's available to you.
Not Heather's way, but yes.
I know. Mine either. But that's an experience. Like that's a growth thing. It's something that like you'll keep with you forever. I'm more of like, would I love to have the most beautiful jewelry and a million handbags? Yes. But like, you don't take it with you. You do take the memories with your loved ones with you. And I'm striving to be less materialistic than like sometimes I feel myself inclined to be.
Yeah, I think it's good to be mindful and keep it in check a little bit the best you can.
Yeah.
But like, it is amazing how you like find a way to spend to whatever your means are. I mean, that's
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, no, like literally our water heater went out like just randomly. I'm like, we just bought this house. Like like there's always something that comes up. And I'm also cognizant of like, I try to be, I should say, of like not being tone deaf to other people's struggles.
Of course.
We grew up, I always say we were like aspirationally middle class. Like my mom did everything to make us feel like we had as much as other people in our neighborhood, but we definitely didn't. And we definitely came, right up to the line a lot of times.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that about you, that you actually...
Yeah, my mom really struggled. There were definitely months where it's like, is the rent going to be on time, or is this bill going to get paid? Car troubles meant like, we might not have a car for a little bit. We'd go to a laundromat. There was a period we didn't have washing machine. My mom worked so hard. And my mom's educated, successful. She's won a lot of journalism awards. But she was so good at hiding from kids how hard things were.
Yeah.
So then I think on the other side, now that I do have access to nice things, I also don't want to like flaunt it. Like knowing that so many people around me are struggling and are worrying so much about like, where's the next paycheck coming from? Where, how am I going to pay all these bills that are piling up?
It's a tough time right now.
Yeah. I'm like, do I need my like giant Chanel bag that I want? Yeah. No, I want it, but I don't think I need it.
Justin, get her the bag.
Yeah, get the bag, Justin.
All right, let's talk about Summer House. Yes. Speaking of people that live to their means. The big storyline this season was Jesse and Lexi, who had a very fast 7-week relationship where they were saying, I love you right off the bat. Now, everyone is accusing Jesse of love bombing her, which is bad, I know. First of all, what does love bombing mean? And do you think Jesse was doing this?
He was, but I'm not mad at him. Like last season, I was mad at West over how he treated Sierra. This, I think Jesse's just a little immature. But love bombing, this is a red flag women need to watch out for. I don't know what it is that makes some men do it, but it's when they come on so hot and heavy and like pursue you so aggressively and show so much interest that like it makes you interested back. But then as soon as you start to like reciprocate, they kind of pull away from the relationship. I've seen this many times, and it's so unfair to the woman. But like, what do you think makes men do that? And do you love bomb?
Heather's always says that I'm easily wooed. I think I fall hard and did for my wife, and she took a minute. But I think for me, it's something wrong with me where I need the challenge.
Yeah,
I do. I mean, I've said this before on here. My relationship before my wife, the last one I had, a wonderful girl who was very, 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 very into me.
Yeah,
and it like turned me off. It turned me off. I don't understand why, but it did.
I kind of get that. Like at least through my 20s, if a guy was too into me, it gave me the ick.
Yeah.
With my husband, it was a natural development of the relationship, so he's never given me the ick. But again, like didn't love bomb. He was intentional, which I liked, which was like, I want to take you on a date here. I want to do this. So I like knew what he wanted from the relationship. But I definitely dated guys where it was like they were obsessed with me. I was the center of their universe, and then like 2 months in, when I'm also starting to like have feelings for them, they just kind of ghost. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a guy thing.
It's so strange.
Who said I love you first in your relationship?
Justin did, but like I was already feeling it. Like I was trying.
So you
not
said
to
it right
blurt
back.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was no like delaying.
I had a delay. I had a delay with my wife. It was a minute. Yeah,
Oh, gosh,
it was
I
bad.
respect her so much.
Yeah, no, she's a gangster. Yeah.
I aspire to have like any ability to have some self-control with stuff like that, and I don't.
No, she is definitely not like a heart on her sleeve kind of person, and I had to like really wear her down. And I mean, we're 20 years in now.
So it clearly worked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's gonna say I love you any day.
Right.
I'm waiting for it. It's gonna happen. No.
Somebody, well, I told you one producer recently was like, wow, you really love your husband. And then another producer walked in, he was on speaker and was like, oh my gosh, you guys talk to each other so nice. I think it's like it's my first healthy relationship, and good news, we're married. But I think we actually are like very loving to each other, which is not always my like instinct, but it works.
You feel like you kind of have a balanced relationship.
Ours is very balanced.
Which is good.
No one wears the pants. It's very like equal division of duties. We're both income earners. Like we're very balanced.
Yeah.
I'll see how kids will disrupt that.
Yeah, well, kids will give you all the leverage.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
I can't wait.
Yeah, no, it's great. All right, I think that's all the time we have for today. But thank you for joining me, Alyssa. Tomorrow I'll be back with Joy on a Tuesday, so we'll see how that goes, and we'll see you then.